In progress.
Okay, welcome to the Village of Buchanan, February 27th workshop meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, thank you. And we don't have a long agenda this evening, but there's some things that we need to discuss. First thing is Earth Day, which is April 22nd, but the village will probably do it on April 20th on a Saturday. So volunteers will be needed. Usually what we do is we do a cleanup over at Lentz Cove or any other areas someone is interested in, might need a little brushing up. But the key here is where we need to work with the union to get authorization to do that. So I have called out to the 456 Teamsters, and, those discussions will continue. And usually what's really good, our beautification committee gets involved in that. Yeah.
We paid it, they didn't care.
Yeah.
Do you know, they have a new attorney, do you happen to know who that is? I've never heard from him or her.
It's a him, but I'll get you the name.
Yeah, because we usually do a real quick agreement.
Yeah, because that's something we've done in the past, and I know Barbara LaFemina had mentioned something, and then also about getting some of the kids from the high school to volunteer for community service time, but then also our rec supervisor, Jackie, is also involved in the school, so maybe we can get some of the kids there involved. That and the update on the cell tower. My understanding is there's a preliminary design for the cell tower. The cell tower company is running a title on the property for easements. And I have spoken to some of the people in the area there. They're kind of excited about getting some cell service in the area where it will end up going, where the proposed area is, which is behind the highway department. It's kind of on our paper road on First Street, so it's going in the back there. And Marcus, I know you had spoken to Verizon about bumping up the...
Yeah, Verizon said they realigned some of the antennas for the areas that have poor service. So I asked police and fire department to see if there's any difference. I haven't heard back from them. So any residents who are watching, if they have bad service in the past, if it's improved, great, let me know. If it hasn't or stayed the same, let me know as well so I can get back to Verizon. At least Verizon recognized that we did have an issue, and so they try to realign the antennas a little bit to get better coverage. That's step number one, see if that works.
Okay. And are they also willing to possibly put on any of our buildings, any little booster? No.
No.
Okay. All right, because we've had issues with the cell phone service here in the village. Even with our fire department, they've had some issues too. What else do we have? Oh, and when we were looking at where the cell phone tower potentially would go, so everyone knows there is a public hearing that's involved with that too. They just don't put the cell phone up, the tower up. There's a public hearing involved. I noticed going back on that back road there where our salt shed is, the salt is completely exposed. And I remember, I think it was 2010, 2011, it was Trustee Smith at the time that had worked on getting a new cover for our salt shed. And I'm understanding, is there?
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes, Scott ordered a new one. They will try to install it themselves. Yes.
Okay. And how much? I know that was quite expensive before.
I'll get you the price right what it was.
Yeah, because I remember when we did it years ago, it was not cheap. What else do we have? Oh, and then I also heard that the light pole on the bottom of 4th Street in Westchester, they found somebody to remove that. We used to have a traffic light on the intersection of Westchester by the school and
the old pole?
the old pole.
Yeah, the same company who does our lighting. Morbito.
Oh, great.
Take it out. Yeah, so he's just sitting there rotting away. Yes.
Yeah, that's been something I know. We had talked about that a while ago. Good. I'm glad to see that's going because that's just going to rust out there. The other thing is the Recreation Committee. They have met twice now, and they are getting together a survey to send out to the residents, hopefully with the April newsletter, and I think the whole board had gotten a copy of that. So if there's any additions or any thoughts on what should be done with that survey, I guess, Sharon, you'll be sending that out. Is there also some way we can do, I don't know anything about these things, but Survey Monkey? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, we definitely get a survey monkey.
Yeah, I think that would be easier for people. Well, I think we need to
Is there a
send
survey already? Is there?
Yeah, they have compiled a list of questions and some thoughts, so
But it
that's
hasn't been
why.
shared with, the whole board hasn't received it, right?
No, I don't
yet?
think I haven't.
Oh, I thought it went out, I thought Jackie sent it
I didn't
out.
s- I didn't
I
see
thought
it.
our
I
rec
didn't see it either.
supervisor sent it out.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, so I thought
When you
that was...
finalize it, we can put on Survey Monkey
Yeah.
as well.
Well, there's no final, it's not final in final form yet,
Mhm.
it's just, they wanted it to go to the board so that the board could review it too, and with any recommendations or suggestions. So, so in the next couple of weeks, I'll look, see where that is. But I
Yeah.
thought Jackie had sent it out to everyone, but I might be mistaken. Okay.
Yeah, we could put a link on our website when it's finalized to Survey Monkey, and they could do it that way, so.
Oh, okay,
that's
good,
fine.
good.
Mhm.
Because I think it's just easier for a lot of people to just do it online. Okay.
Steve, weren't you the chair of that committee?
Yeah, I am the liaison of the Recreation Committee. I know in the past I've asked, who was on the committee and when the meetings were. I have not attended any meetings. I'm not really sure when they were, so.
So Steve is the recreation liaison with the village board. This is a committee that I have formed. I thought, I was surprised not to see you at the first meeting on that Thursday,
I didn't
Steve.
get an invitation. I didn't know when the
Okay.
first meeting was. I
And
had
there-
no knowledge.
And there was, that meeting, I was only there the first time to give them direction, because I feel that they need to be independent. I didn't want anybody's input from anywhere coming in, even the recreation supervisor when they first formed. I just thought, I wanted pure thoughts from these residents who are here in the village. So it's an independent committee, and I'm not involved either. So they have come up with these surveys by themselves. So that's how that committee got started.
Well, you attended the meeting, right?
But as the liaison, I would have been,
Yeah.
I would have at least attended the first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel, I've been involved with youth sports my entire life, either participating or coaching, and I believe, even though I am a board member, being part of the committee, I could offer some valuable, thoughts and opinions. So I would have liked to have attended.
And I would have liked to have you there, too, because when we were discussing it, I said, I think Steve will be coming, because we did say when that meeting was going to be on a Thursday. So I'm sorry you weren't there, but like I said, I'm out of it now. It's a separate committee, and they're off and running and getting things together. There is a meeting coming in April. They've asked for Marcus to be there. Steve, you can be there too. So it was, the original intent was just to have people not being fed different ideas. These are ideas coming from them and also coming from the community. So I just wanted to be that special committee. So I just gave them some direction when I was there, what the village was looking for.
Do you know the date in April?
It might be on that thing. And I apologize. I thought that went out to the whole board. But, okay, we'll send that out. When I get home tonight, I'll send that out. And any comments for that survey would be great. Okay, what else do we have? Other than, Marcus, do you have anything? We have that public hearing the first Tuesday in March for the AMS project.
Mhm.
And what other things do you have?
Oh,
so
the
far
only
on
thing is
agenda?
the digital sign that we're talking
Oh,
about,
okay.
it's different locations. So again, its order's been placed. If the board members take a look at what location you might want to place it, then I get the electrician to update the price if it changes anyway. So please take a look at it. If you want to meet with me, take a look at it together. Just whatever you guys want to do. Because It should be delivered in the next couple of weeks. I want to be able to be installed. And the other signs for the welcome signs,
Okay.
those have been ordered as well.
Oh, good.
We know what the location of those are going to be, so those should be, the DPW install those as well.
All right. So
Okay.
that should be soon. They
Yes.
should be coming in.
Yes.
Okay. Well, once the spring breaks, there's no
So-
snow.
Those signs aren't being furnished and installed by the designer?
Sorry. The digital sign was installed by DPW.
Okay, but the welcome signs are going to be furnished by and installed by the
By
The designer.
Correct, yes.
And what did we
I thought
decide
talked
on?
about that.
What did we decide on? Because we had talked about just the post being there and, them getting, like, if there's weed whacking going on, that the poles might get a little beat up.
Yeah, if you want to do some of the facade around it, again, DPW can put that in. They'll put it in the ground, in the concrete base, and if the board wants to do something around it, just let me know, and DPW can get stuff from Home Depot and put something around it. I know the gardening club, I think someone's going to talk to the gardening club, see, but I think they didn't want to put any more flowers up. I wasn't sure about
Yeah,
that.
they, out at the circle, it's a lot of work, and they do a great job, but they do the barrels, they do in the center part, and I think just adding,
We could do
more
some
honest.
kind of barrier around the poles so the
Yeah.
grass won't grow. So what do I take care of that?
Yeah.
When I beautify
Okay.
the area more, we can talk about that later.
Okay,
too.
yeah.
It's just the digital sign, what the location.
something
is.
that's low maintenance.
Correct,
That's,
yes.
that'll be fine. Do you have anything else, Marcus?
Nope.
That's basically
That's it, yep.
just some workshop things we just needed to discuss. Stephanie, do you have anything for
I
us this
do.
evening?
We have a resolution that David and myself and Janet and Mark, this is on AMS, waiting on some comments from George. It's almost completed. It should be out to you folks tomorrow. And I wrote a quick memo on some things I think you should probably elaborate on the record. It's simple. So look for it, so you can have it with enough time to read it.
Sure.
Great.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Marcus, you have anything else?
Nope, that's it, thank you.
Okay, any of the board members have anything this evening?
Yeah, we would like to, as the Buchanan Parade Committee for St. Patrick's Day, put together proclamations for the aides and the Grand Marshal. I don't know who, Cindy, would you help us with that, I guess? That
That would be Sharon, yeah.
Okay, and then a request for the highway to furnish us with, I guess we're going to have a couple guys
You gotta
for,
speak into the microphone.
we're going to have a couple of highway guys available that day, I would think, to help with, garbage
Absolutely. Yeah.
barriers, that kind of thing.
Please.
That's all I have, really.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll set it up.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Anyone in the audience?
I just have a quick point.
Sure.
the
Come
sign.
up to this speaker, please. And state your name.
Yes.
Thank
So,
you.
Lisa Mercora, 162 First Street. I saw the signs put up on the property for AMS, kind of mimicking what other communities do. One quick thing is, like the other communities that I've seen, they actually put the public hearing notice on that sign. So it says public hearing. Is it on there now?
Yeah, we did.
Cool. I didn't see their change. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you,
it.
Lisa.
Oh, and I like the shamrocks. They're very cute.
Aren't they cute?
I love them.
I'll tell you, the highway department, they did a phenomenal, they did the
They did.
hearts and then now the shamrocks. But I think the shamrocks in the containers, the barrels, I think are the beautification committee.
Yeah.
But the big shamrock in the middle, they've done, yeah, they did a great job with
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for noticing that, Lisa.
Yes.
Okay. Lisa? Another Lisa.
Hello, Lisa Wenz, 206 Tate Avenue. I just wanted to mention that the February 29th DOB meeting was canceled, and it's now, I believe, April 25th, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and it's going to be out at the town hall. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Okay.
thank you for
I know I
mentioning-
mentioned it last time, so I just want people to know that it's been canceled.
Thank you. All right, thank you. No other comments? I think this is the world's fastest meeting then. So I'd like to make, oh, Eileen, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to leave you out, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Lisa, when was the April meeting?
April 25th.
25th. Okay.
I think that's,
And could you explain what a DOB meeting is? I realized I did.
Board of Decommissioning, Indian Point Board of Decommissioning or Decommissioning Board?
oversight board, yeah.
Yeah, Oversight Board, okay. Steve, Danny, is there a meeting?
Thursday, 7
Yes.
p.m.
When were you going to let me
It
know?
was on our Facebook, on the parade's Facebook page. We announced
Oh, I didn't
the
even-
previous two
Okay.
meetings.
Thursday at what time?
7.
Second floor?
Second floor, Village Hall.
Okay.
Standing room only.
I wish.
Yeah, me too.
We better hope it's only standing room only on March 10th. That's it.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, just out of curiosity, or Marcus, or Peter, all the stuff that you get from the planning board that has been finished and done, what can you do with that material?
Yours material?
Yeah, the material we get, the board
I
gets.
thought you were asking what we
Oh,
did
no,
with it.
you do whatever you want with it.
Oh, so we can file it away into a recycle bin?
Put it in your
Recycle.
fireplace, whatever you want to do with it.
Okay, because I need a she shed in order to. It's like, I can't believe this paper. Okay, but you guys always have a copy so that we
Yes.
can get it.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
it's a
All
good
right,
question.
that's
What are
it.
you going to do with all that? Document part of it.
I know it accumulates fast, doesn't it? So I just want to make one other statement. I'm hearing that the election campaign signs that are out on people's lawns are being taken down. So what I would like to ask people is that please, those signs, if someone has agreed to put those signs up, please do not touch those signs. It's basically illegal to take down somebody else's campaign sign. It's also, it has to do with the First Amendment rights. People have a right to vote for who they want to vote for. People have a right to say what they want to say. And we need to just leave those signs, even if you don't agree with your neighbors, please leave the signs there. We have to respect one another. And I think the village is better than that, instead of getting involved in that kind of stuff. So I would ask you, it is illegal to do that. Please leave them, whether you agree with people or not. And I thank everyone very much.
You know, actually, I do have something to say.
Okay.
You know, I know a letter went out the last week, and in the first paragraph it said there was a letter that was originally going to be sent out by Teresa, our mayor, and we blocked this letter. I just want to clarify a little bit on that. The reason that the letter was not sent out was because it was done without our notification. The letter was brought into the clerk's office and put out to be printed and sent out in a newsletter without any of the board knowing about it. Excuse me?
No, I got the letter too, sorry.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did. So, Steve, were you familiar with this letter?
Yeah, so I happened to be in the office at that time. I was making copies, and I did notice a letter on the copier. I asked staff what that letter was. They explained to me that the mayor had asked and directed staff to put that in the newsletter. I took a look at it. I wasn't sure. Maybe I missed it somewhere. Maybe we reviewed it before. I didn't recall it, so I did ask the other board members. You know, I called each one of them. They confirmed. They said they never saw this letter before. So we did direct, Marcus not to send out that letter. No one of us here on the board is allowed to, really to make any unilateral decision without the majority of the board. So without having reviewed that and really, discussed it amongst ourselves, I felt like after looking at it, a lot of it was the opinion, of one member, and I just felt like I didn't feel comfortable with it being sent out.
So in the past, I have sent out letters to the residents. It was on the mayor's letterhead, updating the residents of certain things. And one of the things that I thought was important was the Indian Point update. I have been very involved with the Indian Point closure. I'm seeing most of my board members are not. It's critical over there that we stay on top of that. There's a lot going on. There's outside forces that are trying to tell us what to do with that property over there. And occasionally I have, over the years, updated people or given them information. It did not go out on a letterhead that included the whole board. It included just on the mayor's official letterhead. And as I have said, I have done that in the past before. So, because I felt it was so important for that information to get out, I had the letters copied, and I have mailed it out to the residents here in the village at my own expense.
To what residents?
I had people helping me, so that we have a mailing list.
Oh, you did, but so, because I didn't get one.
I had several people helping me doing it.
Much of the, if you look at the certain Republicans in the area, none of them got them.
Oh,
So when you say it went out to the residents, and you care that the residents get the right information, it should be the residents of the area. Well, this gentleman has a question.
I'm Republican, I got it.
You did?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I didn't.
Well, yeah.
And anybody that I knocked on the door this week did not get any letters. And I'm really surprised at that, because in the letter it says, I want to bring the residents up to speed. What about the rest of the residents?
I had hoped everyone got that, and so please, I offer anyone who has not gotten that and would like to see that letter, please contact me.
You didn't get one?
I will be happy to drop that letter off to you. Absolutely. So the mailing list that was gotten, that was the mailing list I had. So, of course, I want everyone to be aware of what's going on.
Dan, did you get one?
Did not. My mother didn't get one either.
Okay.
Steve, you?
No.
Like I said, I wasn't the only one doing this mailing, so
But
I
you
had several
actually
people.
just said that you paid for it yourself.
I did. I
So
bought,
you took
I
full
bought the stamps.
responsibility
I
on
will-
mailing it.
I will take absolutely full responsibility if not everyone got that letter. I would be more than happy to give that letter out to anyone that would like to see it. So, like I said, I had a group of people that volunteered to help me do those mailings, and the labels were done. So if someone didn't get it, please let me know. Like I said, I'll be more than happy, because I think it's important information. Anyone else? Any other comments? No? Okay.
I have a random comment. Do I have to come up there again?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Exercise.
So, I'm still at 162 First. I haven't moved in the last 3 minutes. But anyway, whatever happens with the mailing list and getting it settled, what is the official mailing list? I do think the letter idea was really good, because just in general, like to have a letter that goes out to residents on important type issues. So just maybe the better mailing list would be good, a fully complete. I did get it. I'm Republican, but just the concept of opening a letter and having some nice verbiage about what's going on instead of just the newsletter, which a lot of people don't read it all or don't see it, or the print is so small. I mean, I think I saw the recreation meeting advertised in the newsletter, just so you know. But
I don't believe it was in the newsletter.
Oh, I thought I saw it.
No, not the recreation meeting.
Really? Okay,
No.
then it was a different meeting.
Yeah.
But
you're absolutely right
Yeah, I
regarding the
liked
letter,
it.
and it's completely valid.
Yeah.
Our concern and my concern as a trustee is I never got a chance to see what was in it.
right.
And having looked at it, I feel like some of it was opinion-based. Some of it just, it certainly wasn't discussed amongst the entire
Yeah.
board, so I just felt like it shouldn't go out. And I didn't think there was an urgency to send it out at that time. Decommissioning has been occurring for many years, and right now they're on a pause or some sort of delay. So I think we could have discussed it as a board,
Right.
put together something concise, and then sent it out to the
Yeah.
residents.
I'm just saying, like, the concept of, like,
Oh,
a
absolutely.
mailing to, like, 1,000 people, I mean, can't cost more than $400 or $500, and, like, people will actually read that instead of just not noticing it on the
Yeah.
newsletter, so I thought it was good.
We don't disagree with getting
Yeah,
the
yeah.
letter.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah, so
disagree
hopefully
with the
you can
fact
do,
that
like-
we didn't get to put our opinions in there
I
as
totally
well.
get it. I'm just saying for the future, I think it's a really good vehicle for like important things.
Absolutely.
I think one
But
of those.
it's a board, that's all we're asking is that the
Yeah, I
board
get
has
that.
input. That's it.
I'm making just a miscellaneous comment.
No, but
Just-
that's a perfect comment that we should all accept because it is right. It is a good vehicle to get it out to the public. I mean, everybody gets it.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to have input on it.
Yeah.
And it was.
I mean, you know,
we weren't able to.
right. Like, obviously, have these strong feelings about AMS, which you all know about. But even like with when we were changing to be so into development, and I know that like the public hearing is next month for the presentation by AMS. But truthfully, the public hearings that were in June and July, where we granted the special permit and let them do the density and let them do the height, was really, truly the really important one because that is when we gave them permission to present such a big building. So I think before that, it would have been kind of nice to have like a letter about, I don't know, just like about these things that are going on instead of just to hear about development, click this on the website and that little note. And sometimes the public hearing is in such small print. Like when the public hearing that was about AMS, the print was smaller than the Valentine's Day cookies. You know, like it's just, I think the letter, so I'm just saying, the letter was great once you get it straight.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, and if you noticed, the letter was dated January 24th, so it took time to compile that. Also, I am on the Decommissioning Oversight Board, and my board members do not attend the Decommissioning Oversight Board meetings or any of the Indian Point meetings.
Not true.
So, Dan, you have done a couple of them, yes.
That's right.
And I also remember going back last July when I asked the board to do a resolution, because I've been on top of this, and I put a resolution in front of you, and even some of the audience members didn't think that the board would approve it. And that was to stop the storage containers above or below ground over at Indian Point. So this is something I've been very heavily involved in.
We did
And
that
I
resolution.
used my own money to send this letter out because
We
the
agreed
board,
on the
the
resolution.
board
We agreed to the
did.
resolution.
I
You
don't know what we
did,
were
but there was
talking about.
there were questions. There were questions, and I
Questions
didn't
from
think
who?
There was never a question.
there was a question from Steve to the attorney that evening on July 5th
What was the question?
about something about the resolution in general.
And I have gone to the meetings.
Yes,
My-
you've
my
gone to a
question-
few.
My
You've
question
gone
would
to a
even be
few.
to this
You've
day,
gone to a few.
do they need permission from us?
Come up to the mic.
Do they need
The
permission?
The NRC can completely override whatever we've said.
Right.
Because the NRC is in complete control. But I
Right.
wanted to, and
So
what
I
it was
voted
important.
in favor for the
Thank you.
resolution, but
Appreciate that.
in my heart, I believe if the NRC wanted it, there's no resolution we could ever pass that could stop them.
That's with the NRC.
Correct.
But we have people who are out there, and you have to make a statement. You have to fight for the village and tell them, no, we're not laying down. We're not listening to whatever you want, what your wishes are. Yes, sir, would you like to speak? Thank
Let
you.
me ask you, what have you done so far that you fought for that has actually stopped anything?
I've been at all these meetings.
I don't care about that. What
What have you done? What have
Nothing,
you-
nothing, because
Oh,
the state has
there you go.
dictated to me how things are going to be, just like they've done to you.
So we're going to lay down and just let the state walk all over us?
In
That's what
2017,
you're
when they
saying.
came to you, what did you do?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you in a minute, because there was a lot. This gentleman's here.
Except two things.
Yes, sir.
One, Greg Leibowitz, 235 Westchester Avenue. One thing, two things. First, the newsletter, a lot of people like that the garbage pickup was removed from the list, from all the schedule, what comes up. So, and then someone create their own online, then on Facebook, so people had to go on there and download it and print it out. So if you guys do put it back online for a newsletter, if you can update it, that would be helpful. And second one, with the Indian Point, I've talked to a lot of people here my age who have kids who are in elementary school, and they said they like Buchanan, they love it, and they plan to live here their entire lives. They don't want to move out, and I agree with them. And if we can have Indian Point, the area be built up with parks, housing, something similar to Terrytown or over there, that'd be great, I don't want to see it just flattened and never be used. Housing, condos, parks, spot for boats and docks and things that were fun to be used. Not nothing that's fun for the area.
And that's one of the things that the board has to work on is rezoning the Indian Point property, because those are some of the things that were discussed, mixed use, whether it's apartments, parks, maybe a small business, restaurants, so these things have been discussed before, and then also, but we haven't rezoned yet.
And I don't think, I know, I heard that someone said over in, next town over,
For Plank.
for Plank, yeah, they're doing a quarry there, right? And I heard that people there, I'm just saying, I don't want mistakes that might happen there happen here. Like, they're doing this beautiful park there, but then residents said there's no place for us to park when it's built up. There'll be no street. Our kids will be sitting there all of a sudden, and they used to play in the street, and now it's gone. It's just parking lots, and cars are coming really fast. So if they make a mistake there, I just hope we don't make the same mistake in Buchanan, which is a much larger square acreage, much larger area than Verplank has. So we don't screw it up,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, and that's why we need public input, and that's why when these hearings come, the public really needs to come out to express what they want to see over there. There's the local waterfront revitalization project. It was a grant that the town and the village went in and got together, and we're still working on that. So there's just different proposals and different ideas, and maybe, that's something we really need to get out to the residents when the public hearings begin for that, so that people have some idea of what's going on.
I had an idea whereby, you have this giant area where I talked to some people, they said, that's a great idea. You have this huge area with ice skating rink, basketball, all these great things, right? Huge, massive recreation facility, right? They said, something great, that's a great idea, it's fantastic, but in 10, 12 years, when those kids and people age out, it's not used anymore. What makes money is apartments and restaurants that pay taxes every single month.
Yeah, so that's why we talked mixed use.
Right.
And the property we were looking at originally, but that's on hold right now, are the 60 acres that's in the north section right next to our Lens Cove area. So that was the first parcel that we were looking at that could be easily released. But because of the 8-year push out on the decommissioning, that's kind of in limbo right now. And the middle section there is where the nuclear power plants are, the spent fuel rods. So we're talking way down the road.
Great. No, actually, I'm thinking about so our kids are playing rec baseball, and we play in one in Verplank, we play in Cortland, and I'm not sure who manages those fields, the baseball fields, but the infield alone is really, really bad. I'm not sure who controls that.
That would be the town.
The town, right?
Yeah.
I know the one in Verplank there, and a few of them they're pretty bad.
That's the town of Cortland.
Yeah.
Right.
Do they ever use the Buchanan one behind our highway department? There's a field that we
Yes.
had upgraded, maybe about 5 years ago. We spent quite a bit.
They just did the one Verplank where they repaved the parking lot there. I'm just saying, things have to be leveled out and new soil put down.
Yeah.
A few yards, that's my opinion,
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the question is, what have I done since 2017? That's a great question. Since 2017, when the closure announcement came, I have attended absolutely every meeting, educated myself. Linda Puglisi was a phenomenal partner for the village. The village and the town worked together. And through those meetings, I worked with Senator Terrence Murphy. He came out fighting for us, for this community. I went up to Albany. There were public hearings, gave our opinion of what was happening here to our village, and asked for help. We also, during that time, figured out, we better make some money here somewhere, because, the taxes would increase. We were losing half of our budget. We were losing half of our income. So during that time, I was involved at that point with all different communities throughout the country, and one of the biggest ones was Zion, Illinois. And they had gone through the decommissioning process, and what the scary part was, we were really concerned here what was going to happen to the community with our housing. So as Zion, there were a lot of vacant housing. People were just leaving their homes. Homes were being deteriorated, and they were in a tough spot. So seeing what the other communities, Vermont, what was happening in Vermont, I made a trip up to Vermont to see what was going on in Vermont. I toured the plant during decommissioning, and they were further along in the process than we were. So I did a lot of checking, educating myself. I laugh all the time, and I tell people I could almost be a nuclear engineer at this point, but there's still a lot more to understand. But so I educated myself, and I just needed to know what was going on with our community. And one of the things that really stuck to me was there was this group I work with, and I still work with, and we're still working on moving it forward. It's going to be reintroduced again, the Stranded Act by Senator Duckworth. And what they formed was a committee to help look at getting money from the Department of Energy. And I've mentioned this for the people who've come to these meetings, you know I've mentioned this before. And so working with other communities, it gave me the idea to set up legislation in the state here to be able to tax the spent fuel cost, which we are first in the country that we're allowed to do that. So fortunately, we had Sandy Galiff working with us. At the time was Peter Harcum. They were struggling with how to do the legislation. So Stephanie offered to write the legislation. And lo and behold, I worked with the Senate. I worked with the Assembly. I sent a lot of information out. I helped Sandy to understand what she was proposing. She was ahead of the real property, so the real property assessment. So we were fortunate to have her in that position. So it passes the Senate, it passes the Assembly, and that was a huge accomplishment because as you see throughout the country, other communities are also adopting that. So, and I remember, it was kind of funny. It shows you I'm not a partier on New Year's Eve, but I remember Pete Harcum texting me and saying, you know, I think the governor's going to sign it. I was like, no. So 8 o'clock, New Year's Eve, the governor signed it. So I've been looking since the closure of Indian Point for any possible money that we could get in this village, considering what happened to us, unfairly happened to us losing our largest employer, our largest taxpayer, and a great corporate neighbor. So, and there's no courses. There's no courses on how do you survive the closure of a nuclear power plant. So that's why, you know, I went out, educated myself, what are other communities doing, what's happening with them, and you know what? It was a day by day, and it was scary. It was scary. I didn't know what was going to happen. The announcement came out, the official announcement came out on a Monday. I asked that Thursday evening for the residents to come in here so that I could explain the information I had. The room was packed. I told them there was not much that we knew at that point. And so we just kept going. We just kept fighting for the village, working for the village, trying to figure things out, and we survived. And we survived. We survived so much better than Zion, Illinois did. They're still struggling. Zion is still struggling. And I still continue to work with them. Whether I'm on the board or not, I will continue to work with Zion and the other communities throughout the country that I'm involved with, and to get this done. The Department of Energy should be giving the village of Buchanan and all these other nuclear power plants that have waste stored on their site. That was not the agreement. That was not the agreement when these power plants opened up. The Department of Energy is responsible for the final disposal of the nuclear waste. And here we have it sitting on our property and not being compensated for it. Because we talked about the 60 acres. That was one of the first things I said, what can you release? So we talked about the what would happen with this nuclear waste. And I will tell you right now, it is not going anywhere anytime soon. So is that fair to a community to store that? Absolutely not. And we asked for that 60 acres once again, and Holtec has said, well, we have to look what that's going to look like. That might only be 40 acres in the end because there has to be buffers. So, and I could probably go on a lot more. So I have been very hands-on involved. I've been the chairwoman of the Citizens Advisory Panel for the Indian Point closure. You know what, and like I said to everyone, this is not something you are trained in. This is something that's handed to you, and how you deal with it and how you think out of the box. And all I can say is we survived. We survived. Yes, sir.
I have some more to say because it's emotional, you know? It is. Like, my wife and I, we bought our house in 2016. Months later, in February, we found out the whole room here was packed. You couldn't walk, you couldn't find a spot to sit. It was standing room only. People were upset. And I know this is a big corporation. If you guys did nothing and just big, huge, multi-billion-dollar company, you did nothing, this town would fall apart. If you guys just don't care, we're lost. You know, I just, like last week, I heard that upstate in New York, Ilion, New York, gun company, they're leaving. They closed business, they shut down, they're moving to Georgia. And the whole town there, all the people that work there, they're out of jobs. And we lost ours, but if you guys don't care, if you guys don't at all, the town's going to fall apart. So you have to care a lot, or else it's nothing.
That's why we're all sitting here. I'm second generation.
Right.
Okay? Born and raised here. I've raised my kids here. I care. That's why I got involved.
That's why we're all sitting up here, because we care.
Right.
I have 5 children. I've been here all my life in this Tri-Village area. I don't see anybody here that doesn't care.
Fourth generation, cousin fifth generation, and his children sixth generation. My grandparents owned a home on Henry Street. My mother and her brothers and sisters were born in that house. My mom, in the mid-'60s, my mother and father bought the property across the street and built our home. I've lived on Henry Street my whole life. My heart and soul is here.
I know. I saw the articles in the paper. You just got to fight, you know.
It's all about fighting.
Get as much as you can, and don't give up. Don't take no for an answer.
And you know what? It's been said, the state's going to do what the state's going to do, this one's going to do. If you don't push back, you don't fight them, and let them know that you're here. I mean, the last meeting, the DOB meeting, got a little ugly because I went after Senator Harcum and Assemblywoman Dana Levenberg. They did not come to the village and say, hey, we're going to be doing this legislation that's going to stop the discharge into the water. So how do you think that's going to affect the village? No. There was no conversation had. So a little angry about that. There was no communication there. It was done. That was it. So, and it did. It did affect us because now the decommissioning is pushed out another 8 years. So once you accept that, it was hard to accept that the plant was closing. I even had the day the final Unit 3 was shutting down that evening, I had something to memorialize the history of Indian Point, and we had a big rally over at Lentz Cove, and it was attended by many people, and it was a very sad time in the village here for a lot of people. But then you have to accept what happened, and what are we doing going forward? What are we going to look like going forward? How do we reinvent ourselves? Because that's closed, so we can cry forever, or how do we move forward? How do we? What different things can we do? So once that property becomes available, we can develop, hopefully, the correct way. Also, I was very happy with Holtec a couple of months ago. They came to us and said, look, there's other property that we could potentially release other than the 60 acres. So at least, thank God they're trying to work with us, because they got it. They got the picture of how badly we were hurt here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Lisa Wentz, 206 Tate Avenue. Mayor, could you explain, you just mentioned that the bill was passed that would allow the spent fuel to be taxed.
Yes.
So is it being taxed?
We have a pilot program with them, but we had no basis. Like, so how do you have some type of a basis, tax basis, for a nuclear power plant that's no longer producing and no longer making money? So we used what the casks are worth, or they were several years ago before this was passed, about $1 million each. We have 127 casks on pad. Everything is on pad now. So if they're $1 million, so we looked at it as there's $127 million homes on those pads, because they technically can be moved, but they're not going to get moved because there's no place to put them. So that's how we got that, with that mindset and really thinking out of the box. That's how that got passed, and the support of our local people here, and fortunately the governor signed it. So it's, when you have a pilot, the property over there right now, I mean, what is it worth? I don't know. How would you appraise something like that? How would you assess something like that? So, but using that basis, it helped for our negotiations. And right now, currently, we've just started negotiations with Holtec for a new pilot.
So I believe it was like $3.5 million that was annually, tax-wise?
We lost half of our revenue, so we lost almost $3 million, because not only did we have the pilot program, I was able to get an infrastructure agreement with one of Entergy's, and they were good with that. So we had almost $3 million that we lost.
Okay, so what do you foresee? How much of that do you foresee getting back with the spent fuel?
Oh, if we pass that legislation?
The legislation for the spent fuel is only used as a mechanism to calculate the pilot. It's not additional revenue that the village is receiving. So a pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. So instead of being taxed, they pay a pilot. It's a tax. It's just calculated differently. So what that law provided was a mechanism. Previously, it was an operating nuclear power plant, so they could value that. When it no longer was a nuclear operating plant, they had to value it somehow. And the way they came up with was tax the casks. So that provides a value to it. So the revenue that's generated from that is part of the original pilot, which is set to expire, I believe, next year. 2 years left on that pilot. And then we have negotiations to extend the pilot beyond that.
So that's why an additional layer, if we can get that done with all the nuclear communities that have, it's called the Stranded Act, that we have stranded nuclear waste. If we can get that through to be passed in the federal government, and really they should compensate these communities. We didn't buy into this. Not that I was able to speak at that time frame when the nuclear power plants come in, but that was an agreement the Department of Energy made with all these communities. And what happens is the nuclear power plants throughout the country, because they have to store the waste, every couple of years what they will do is they will sue the federal government, they will sue the Department of Energy for all their expenses, for keeping it there, whether it's security or whatever it is. They get reimbursed by the Department of Energy. So why are these communities not getting reimbursed? Because if we wanted to develop over there, there's buffers. That's dead land. So how is that fair to the community? We never made that agreement. So, and we're not the only community. So throughout the country, but with us banding together and working together,
So how are other communities kind of lobbying for the Stranded Act to be passed?
We're getting behind Senator Duckworth, so she's going to reintroduce, and there's also a congressman, I can't think of his name right now, he's out in the Midwest. So they're introducing into the House and the Senate, but then there's also, I've spoken to Congressman Lawler, and he's getting behind that. Also, Senator Gillibrand, and I'm still in conversations with Senator Schumer. Those are our representatives here in the state. And what I'd like to see, honestly, is there's $15 million that was done when Nita Lowy was here, and it was used for nuclear communities that, are affected by the closure. So what I'd like to do is try to get some of that $15 million to use for our community. We are the host community, even though other communities around are stating that they are. We are the host community. So out of that $15 million, the reason why we haven't been able to access that yet is because it has to be tied to jobs. So it has to be the Economic Development Association. You have to go through the EDA. So what I'm hoping to work on, is to see if Senator Schumer would allow us to use those monies for the compensation of having it stored there. Because I don't think many communities have had access to that money. And I know the town was granted, when Linda was here and Nita Lowy, the town was granted about $3 million out of that EDA money. And that EDA money goes throughout the country. So the $15 million is not a lot of money that was set aside for that.
So, as a board, can letters be written or support be sent out for the Stranded Act?
Yeah. Once it gets reintroduced again, I think that would be good if the board would do a joint letter showing their support, and is really working with the other communities, throughout the country and getting everybody up on board with that. Because we're not alone.
No, we're not, but it's good to hear all about this.
Yeah,
So
and
that
one of the important
we
points
can-
to remember is that the original pilot does expire in 2 years, so it's very important for the village to get ahead of it and to renegotiate and lock in a longer-term agreement to create some stability for the budget going forward. That's huge, because nobody knows what's going to happen with the Stranded Act. We should
No.
certainly fight for it, but nobody can say where it's going to land. But having a pilot in place, that is something that the village can do, and having a long-term pilot is very important for this village in particular. And then offsetting it with other revenue streams going forward would be important
And it
as
would
well.
be really lovely if we get that property, but Holtec owns it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
So
That's-
they
Yes,
have a
they
lot
do.
of say in,
They own it. There's a lot of studies that would need to be done. There's a lot
it's a long,
involved.
It's a long way.
it's a long way away.
The important part is to stabilize the budget with the pilot program. The property, we may never see that property. May never see it. And if it ever is released, by the time it's developed, we're not going to be here. I mean, it's what's now. And I hear all this fighting for what's now. That's what has to happen now. The pilot program has to happen now. Development has to happen now. I goes only so far. The board needs to work together and get this done. And the pilot program is the key to getting this done. Stabilizing our budget, making sure that the development is on track. That's how we're going to make this community survive. And if anybody sees it any other way, I don't see it that way. There's only one way to do it, and that's the way to do it.
And Holtec has been very good. They have met with us the first time. We did throw an offer out, and they will be coming back. I think we're all in agreement on the board that the stability is important, and by getting this pilot agreement with Holtec for a length of time would be important, so we're stabilized. We know going forward what is needed and where we're coming in with our revenues. The III was I was giving a review of, I was asked from 2017 what I have done.
There was no board. You
So-
didn't say board once. You
My
said,
board, I'll give you one
I-
thing.
I-
That
I-
board, the board I had.
Just like us. You don't
that
even
was-
recognize us.
I recognize you.
fantastic.
I wish you guys would come to the decommissioning oversight board meetings where all the information. I'm there by myself,
I've reviewed
fighting
every
with these people.
decommissioning
How do you know
meeting.
I know, but you don't
Watch
speak up, Steve.
I've
But you don't
been to
speak up.
Holtec countless times. I've
Okay.
spoken with them directly.
Okay, that's good.
Being
I'm
at the
glad.
decommissioning
I'm
meeting,
glad.
there is no say for the village.
Yeah,
But
yes, there is.
speaking to Holtec directly, asking them to come in and
Mm-hmm.
renegotiate the pilot is something that I have done.
Yes, but we're all on the same page with that. We all understand for our budget, that's so important. So yes,
But to
these are other
criticize me for not
things.
going to the meeting
But
is not
Steve,
fair.
you can sign up and speak at these meetings. The anti-nuclear people are right there and speaking up every time. I'm sitting on that board up there, and I'm speaking. You know, I wish you guys were more involved. It's important. I can't beg you to come to those meetings. You know when those meetings are, you should be there. I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry. This is kind of turned into an election-type discussion, debate discussion. So, you know, I think we're all on the same page. We want the village to be stabilized. I'll speak for the board. We all want the village to be stabilized. This is one way to do it. There's different ways. Think out of the box, what we can do. Can we do something different? You know, and work together. That would be great. So, oh, yes, Miss Eileen, yes.
I'm going to switch subjects.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But partly stay in the other subject. Okay, so Hochul, our illustrious governor, is now going to pull back school funds for migrants, illegal migrants, whatever you want to call them. What kind of letter can we write to her, putting into that scenario of stabilization and the funds and things of that nature, because Hendrick Hudson's going to be cut. That affects Buchanan residents and Tri-Village residents, Town of Cortland residents. I don't have any faith in Rich Becker. I don't have any faith in Harcum, and I don't have any faith in Leavenberg. They are not our partners, and I really feel bad about that because we did have partners before. So when everybody says we do have to fight, we do have to fight. So either give the village residents something to hold on to or to write to or whatever. And if the board can make a statement, Danny, I'd like you, I think you're the liaison to the school. I'd like you to stay on top of this to see what's happening because the budget's coming up in May. I think the residents
just went
need
out
to
today.
know that, need to know what is going on, how the new superintendent is handling this, what he's thinking. You've still got kids, you've got kids, your kids are out now, but
And we're
still,
all paying property taxes.
we're all paying school tax, property tax, you know, so I think it's important that you keep the village residents updated on that.
Well, I think it's got to be a collaboration between us and the district. I mean,
I
think,
agree.
I think it has to come from the district with input from us.
Yes, I do agree, but we
That's my
have to be
opinion.
present at the district in order to have that happen. So the district needs to know that we're a full force, that we will back them, and that we have to show some fight.
Yep.
Okay?
And we did this once before when we were trying to get that legislation passed. We did something and we sent out to all the residents to sign on to it. Maybe that's something, because, you know, it's one thing, I know Stephanie had sent a letter, the board directed her to send a letter to the governor, but I think if we can get the residents' signatures,
Yeah,
I think that's more important.
You're talking about the petition? That got 10,000 signatures.
Yeah.
well,
protests.
you know, I
The school
think
district
we
was
need to
really
do something
instrumental.
loud and
And I think the
roaring.
petition is the way to do it, because, you know, it's one thing for the board to send a letter out, but if you have the backing of the communities, the Tri-Village,
Yeah.
you know,
It's gotta be a
so it's...
collaboration. I
Yeah,
think.
so, you know, Dan, maybe if you could,
I know several
to
of
the
the board members,
superintendent.
and you know, and
mention to
I'll
him.
reach out to the super.
okay, that would be great. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's a good idea, Eileen. I think the petition, and I think everybody would sign on to that.
Yeah, because we're going to see that, skyrocket. Enrollment's down. I don't know what these apartment complexes will bring. I have no idea. And you still have illegal housing here that we have not been able to correct. So that's still on the books. It's they're taking up our space, our children's spaces in school, and we're paying for it. So.
And I know with the illegal housing, I know Peter, our building inspector, has straightened out some.
Yeah,
I
I'm just
remember
saying that
yeah.
there are more.
There's
there's
more
just
people living
too
in a
many.
home than
Yeah.
normally would
Right.
be in this world today. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
sure.
thank you.
All right. Thanks, Eileen. Okay. No more questions or comments. Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to go into executive session to discuss a personnel contract real quick.
Oh, sure, yes. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss contractual personnel. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.